When you're negotiating the sale of your home, you never want to trust someone's verbal commitments. To knowingly and effectively negotiate on your home, you want to understand all the elements of the purchase contract and get it in writing. Welcome back, everybody. This is Matt Stone here in Utah with Coldwell Banker Realty, and today we're talking about step number 7 in the For Sale by Owner Marketing Toolkit. Today we're talking about how to be very effective in your negotiating. Okay, there's a lot of elements that come into play when you're selling your home. Okay, it's not just the price, and you want to understand all of those key elements that are in a purchase contract, in a real estate transaction, so that you're not taken advantage of and you end up selling the house for not only the money that you want, but also the terms that you are hoping to get. Now, most of the things are going to be negotiated and at least come to an agreement before the contract is executed, but there are some items that can still be negotiated as the contract is in escrow and as you're waiting till your home can be closed. So the first item is going to be the price. You and the buyer certainly will come to an agreement on what the sales price, the purchase price of the home may be, but that can change depending on some of the things that we're going to talk about here shortly. Things like inspection results, things that the buyer didn't know that they were going to have to fix. Maybe their finances changed a little bit in the process. Maybe the loan officer has given them some news and they need to make some adjustments on the purchase price. So be prepared to negotiate the price of the home even after you sign a contract. All right, the second item is going to be the terms of the contract. These are things like the dates and the deadlines, the things like when you're taking possession, who's going to pay the closing costs, is there going to be a home warranty. These are all terms of the contract that, yes, should be agreed upon and negotiated before the signing of a contract. But again, things change throughout the process, through the due diligence period and through the process of the buyer getting the loan. Things can change and the situation can change, and so be prepared again to negotiate the terms up until the closing. All right, so the next thing on the list is inspections. Now, you're not actually negotiating whether or not to get an inspection. It's very common, and I would recommend that no one buy a house without an inspection. But the results of the inspection are definitely something you'll want to negotiate. You know, that inspector, his job is to find out everything about the condition of that property, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And so they're going to give that to the buyer, and then the buyer's going to come back, and you guys are going to need to talk and negotiate who's going to fix what, okay? So the more you know beforehand, the better it's going to be, but you need to understand that this negotiation is still in play before your house actually closes. So be prepared for that. Now, the dates and the deadlines are another really big part of the negotiating. Now, sometimes buyers will use this as some leverage. Other times, just things happen and maybe the dates need to be changed a little bit. But this, again, is a point of negotiating. You need to understand what your rights are, what the buyer's rights are, and what things can change and what can happen during the process. You know, how long does a buyer have to do an inspection? How long is that due diligence period? How long does the buyer have before they can get all of their earnest money back? When can the buyer move in and take possession? These are all points of negotiation both before and during the sale of your home. And then you've got, just throughout the whole process, you know, buyers' concerns and objections. Certainly during the due diligence process and, you know, during the home inspections and things like that, the buyers usually come back with some things that they would like to have changed. But throughout the process, be prepared for the buyers to come back and kind of hit you with some concerns. It may be concerns with things on your end, like the home or the possession date, things like that. But it might be concerns with things on their end, like the loan, the interest rate, things like that. They might want to come back and renegotiate some things because of concerns that they have. This is where you kind of have to decide, how much am I willing to give? You know, how set am I going to be? Am I willing to, you know, let the deal, you know, not go through? Am I willing for the deal to crash and burn because I'm not willing to fix a couple $100 worth of items that the inspector found? Okay, that's up to you. You know, how much are you willing to do? Are you willing to pay thousands of dollars in closing costs because at the last minute the buyer came to you with a concern? These are all things you need to be thinking about ahead of time and be prepared for all the way up until the closing of your house. Now, this is why you want to make sure that you understand all of the elements of a real estate purchase contract. Now, again, you may not be using an official one, but you need to understand the points of the contract you did write up or the buyer did write up, okay? You need to understand what your rights are. You need to understand that even though it may not say something in a contract, there are still points in your state's law, your real estate law, that have to be adhered to. So this is why if you're not going to use a real estate agent, I strongly advise that you hire a real estate attorney. Have them look over the contract so that they can advise you of what your rights are, and it'll give you more power when it comes to negotiating. One final note, please don't rely on the buyer or the buyer's agent or the buyer's attorney to explain things to you, okay? Certainly with an attorney or a buyer's real estate agent, they're contractually obligated to the buyer in their best interest. They have a fiduciary duty to the buyer. And so any conversation or negotiating that's going on is only going to be in the buyer's best interest. Now, a lot of times, those people, those agents, don't have anything out against you. They're not trying to, screw you over or anything like that. But they are looking after the buyer's best interest. Now, worst case scenario, you have some really clever and really knowledgeable people out there who are going to be using your own contract against you. They're going to be using the elements that maybe you didn't understand against you and for the buyer's best interest. So again, be very cautious. Try as much as you can to understand the contract. And if you don't understand and if you don't feel comfortable with it, please get somebody to help you, like a real estate agent or a real estate attorney. So as always, thank you for watching today. If you have anything you'd like to add or like to see me talk about, please put it in the comments, or you can always reach out to me with my contact information below. And I hope you will tune in to the next video in this series, which is step number 8, knowing who your buyers are, okay? There are there's many different types of buyers that are going to be coming by your house and who are going to maybe put an offer in your home. Understanding these different types will give you the upper hand and help you in getting your house sold the way you want and for the price you need.